restrictions can be where a lot of the creativity comes from.
Absolutely.
How do I do this? How do I make this work?
I think it's funny. So you went to art school.
Yeah.
You are no. Did you go to art school, Michael? No, you didn't.
No.
So I love the whole art school versus not art school. I didn't go to art school, but I moved here thinking I want to go to college. Like that was my thing. And I don't know, you were young, you're fucking naive. I was like 18. I got here, I was like, oh fuck, it's expensive, I can't afford. I'm not even kidding you guys. I used to watch like fucking Woody Allen movies and I thought like, I could just walk some dogs and babysit some fucking rich child and go to school or like work in a diner like Friends, whatever. Like, and like make a living, go to art school, be an artist. And then I got here, I was like, oh fuck, like not at all. Like that's not how it works. Like tuition is expensive, college is expensive. I didn't go to art school, so I never had a chance to actually go to school. And part of me always feels like I'll meet somebody that went to art school and I feel like, oh shit, I get mildly jealous. Like I wish I had the experience you had where I had just people dumping knowledge on me where I could then just like experiment and flourish and then whatever fucking bullshit word you want to use. Like I would just like become the best artist that I was meant to be because I had 4 years to fuck around. And well, I guess you don't. That's what I'm starting to realize now. Like I guess I'm very grateful in a way that I didn't have it because it puts that much more fire under your ass. Maybe it's me, you know? Is it me? There we go. So I do think like when you don't have that kind of, like my attitude towards, like I'm a much more go-getter person. And I think the only thing that pains me is I've also learned a lot through making mistakes, which yes, they're quite, necessary when you're an artist. Perhaps some of the biggest things you will learn on your approach, technique, on all around making business is going to be through fucking it up and making mistakes. But these mistakes cost me a lot of money, which is something that perhaps it's not a luxury I quite have. So that hurts sometimes. Sometimes you make a mistake and you're like, oh fuck, that's like a $10,000 mistake. Fuck me.
I'm just curious from Brian's perspective too, because the interesting thing is that you were from like a lot of artists that are in this like mid-career, early career within the first 10 years of their career.
Emerging artists.
Yeah. So people that are, so I feel like you're almost like this like strange, I don't know what to call you, this weird father type figure, grandfather type figure, uncle, brother or something of the art world. So like when things like how Driel is talking about like how it's like I'm putting in all this effort and then I have to like go through this and there's this weird thing I'm sure you see where you see people that have done art and they went down the traditional path and there's people that are just figured it out on their own. And both sides, I don't know about you, but I feel like both sides feel like they fucked up and there's like the grass is green on the other side.
Yeah,
but then they're also like, my side's better than the other one.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on it?
I agree with that entirely. I think we're always thinking the other side is the better one. Like, oh shit, I self-educated. If I had the money to go to college, I would have. And then there's that side of like, oh, I've spent all this money at art school, and now my friend is like just struggled it out in the real art scene, and she's killing it now. I should have went that route. The truth is we all have our own path.
Yes.
And often we don't have much choice in that.
Exactly.
And the best thing I think anyone can do, but I think particularly creative people can do, is surf it. Like whatever fucking wave comes your way, that's what you surf. That's what you pick up. So probably a lot of people in this room don't like Warhol quotes. I actually kind of love.
I love quotes, even when his asshole's like a.
Warhol quotes is that I say all the time. I say this is why I get this fatherly figure, creepy uncle.
I didn't say creepy. You had to.
Is that he says like when you want people in the world to know you exist and you're a creative person, like you check out my stuff and like you want to put it on walls or you want it to be seen. Warhol said the best thing you need to do is go to your studio and make work. And then when suddenly you're blowing up and everyone knows about you and like, wow, you got a scene happening and people come and they're attentive, so work. The number one thing you need to do is hit that studio hard and make work. And then you're falling out and everyone thinks you suck and you're shit
You
now,
put in the work.
and you're lame and no one gives a shit anymore. You know what you need to do? go to the studio,
Yeah.
make work. And the truth is that it really just comes down to like whether you went to art school or had that opportunity and wanted it or not, whether you didn't or not. The best thing we do in the city like New York City is we just fucking surf it, right? The water comes, we catch that wave, we ride it as hard as we can. Even if it's the shittiest wave of the day, you rode that wave as hard as you can, and then you're always getting the maximum out of every opportunity.
Something that you brought up too that I think is interesting is that people, like you said, there's no choice in it.
Yeah.
You know, people just, it's almost like you get a path. And that bridges into the area that I like, just talking about the spirituality and things. And, you know, whether we have free will or we do not have free will, and like, do we get to choose what's happening to us, or do we just choose to deal with
What comes.
what comes? And I think there's like different, you know, there's different sides to it, but I'd like to hear your two perspectives on, like, do we have free will? Like, when we're making an image, is it really our thoughts that are making it, or is this something?
Well, I think.
Going back to the image, I like that.
Yeah.
Where do images
Actually.
come from? And when we make an image, where does that image come from? Is that really coming from us entirely? Or are we just regurgitating?
I think is a regurgitation of several inspirations and several things you're putting it together. Like I'm always telling people, there is no such a thing as 100% original fucking work. Nobody's work is ever 100% original. You're always pulling reference from something else, even if it's not fully conscious, something you've seen it, I don't know, forever ago, and you're taking that and you're just like finding a new way to use it on your way. And I tell kids all the time these days, like there is nothing that I've seen out there right now in terms of whoever you think is making the coolest work right now. I often come back to Kendrick Lamar right now because I feel like it's one that everybody seems to agree that he's doing something that's incredible. Either you like hip hop or not, Kendrick seems to be that one person, everybody kind of likes it. But this last video Kendrick just put out is essentially a bunch of ripoff of a bunch of other fucking photographers. When I first started pointing it out, exactly. And I love that video, I fucking adore it. But it got to a point where I actually had to like do an Instagram stories breaking it down, every reference the motherfucker done, to show it to people like, I love what he did, I think he's brilliant, but nothing over there is original. Everything has been taken from somebody else. And it was in a quite literal way where they did a shot by shot kind of ripoff. Looks beautiful, I love it. But it's not original, and I just feel like I wish kids these days, like you don't need to go to fucking college, you can educate yourself on the internet. Like internet is such a beautiful fucking thing where we should not just waste our times fucking, I don't know, going on shitty dates on apps or whatever. Like find ways to put that shit for you. That is my education. I learned everything I know and I am everything I am because of the internet. I grew up in a poor country where we didn't have access to shit there. Sometimes you guys will have a movie here, would take us 5 fucking months to get it to me. And what did I do? I fucking went online and I downloaded that bullshit and I translated myself the subtitles, and that's how we fucking watch shit. And that's how I saw all my Godard, my Bergman. I didn't need to go to film school. I motherfucking taught myself all of that shit. I was like, ooh, what is director so-and-so watching? Ooh, David Lynch is cool. Cool, I watch all David Lynch. Now, what is David Lynch watching? Jodorowsky, huh? Let me watch some fucking Jodorowsky. Let me see, who is producing Jodorowsky? Dario Argento. Let me fucking watch this and ace this motherfucker. And you do your own education. You are your own teacher. And that's how you fucking get shit done.
I think we all can agree that nothing is really original. Like our thoughts are not our thoughts.
No.
That whatever it is, whether we're talking about the art that we make, and if we really reverse and pull out, so someone's making art and they have this idea that comes out of nowhere, they have this like crazy idea. It's almost like it comes out of the ether. It's similar to like how dreams work. It's like, well, why am I dreaming of this? Why is this coming into my world? And it's all derivative of something, you know. So it's like if you're having like an idea of you're just having an idea just for a project, or for an image that you're going to make, or for a shoot that you're going to do, or whatever the fuck it is. The interesting part to me is that if you trace it back, somebody has already
Done it.
implanted that into your mind. Whether they've done it or not, regardless. I don't give a shit if people have done it and go, oh, this person's so great because they learned how to like master replication, or they denied replication, whatever. What I'm talking about is we go further back. How much of our world right now is so constructed that images can't get out of like this prison? So we have like this this psychic, spiritual prison that wraps around every artist and every person that you can't escape. Because if you try to escape, it's like, where are you going to go to? Where are you going to find new words? Where are you going to find new language? Where are you going to find new inspiration? So you can be like, I saw it on the tree, I saw it on whatever. But Ryan has some ideas. But how far out do we go? How much of it has been constructed? Or what are your thoughts on the construction of our minds and ideas?
This actually does align with someone I'm just talking with right now. We're actually aligning a show right now with an artist who, some of you guys might know, he takes the ads out of the subway things and rearranges them, puts them back up, and manipulates them.
That's
and,
cool.
Yeah, really interesting artist. And he actually just literally off the cuff we were talking about it. And he was saying, I think what inspired him so much is not just about how good an ad is or how evil advertising is or isn't or any of these things, but the amount of money that companies spend on advertising, right? And put images in front of you is their biggest, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's basically one of the largest amount of money that you can spend in the world. The major corporations place images in front of people. They're not literally stopping you to say, look at this, you need to read this. And they're literally just sticking an image in front of you.
Just
right?
one image.
Just an image.
Yeah.
And that is how these companies stay gigantic, and that's him in advertising. But I think that speaks to the power of the subconscious of our imagery. Like this sort of like, we don't even realize how much we consume of the things we see around us. And so all of that creates that, I think what you're talking about, that prison that are like that internal pure creative energy. That's why I think people say that children are the best artists. And that's just because there's...
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, people have said it.
Sure.
I mean, if there's truth to that, where it might come from is that because they don't have any of that. They're not consuming all that imagery yet. They're just so more pure in that kind of way.
Are they still? I mean, we're shoving iPads on little fucking kids as soon as they come out of the fucking vaginas.
Zoom out. Like before that they even get to that point, I think that there's truth to it. Because when we don't remember our first 2 or 3 years. Like, it's just a series of fragmented scenarios that maybe most people have like 1 or 2 that they can remember. Like, everybody remembers your first memory. And it was around, 2, 3, 4 years old, something like that. They kind of like
I remember last week.
I don't even remember what I did this morning.
But yeah, we can't remember any of this shit.
Just to add back on, before we change subject, without getting too, I feel like I will end up going to anarchy way, because I can't help it. That's how I go. But I was gonna say that I think point of view is what makes the biggest difference on how to make images, which is why I don't think kids are the best fucking artists. I think they have endless creativity, and we ended up trimming it down as they get into school, and we tell them, this is how this color is, I don't know, roses are red, not blue, and we trim their creativity to be real and fit reality. But I do think what makes a big difference these days is point of view, is the experience I have as a girl who grew up in Brazil under XYZ circumstances will make my point of view very different from yours, who grew up, I don't know where, under different circumstances. Therefore, we could take on the very same subject, but whatever we would do would be completely different. And yes, it might not be 100% original, but within the context of how your perspective adds to it, that's where I think things get interesting. And I think that's why this world we're living now is so fascinating to me, because it's finally become all about sharing experiences and sharing points of view, and I think that's unheard of in history in a way. I think, artists, for as long as we know, have always expressed their feelings and their emotions and whatever, but I think now is in a much bigger scale where anybody with a cell phone can go in and express their point of view. And yes, we are now saturated with images, and now is a bitch to navigate that scenario. But it's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, I'd rather have a lot to look at from different points of view than a handful of segregated like ideas that I'm conditioned to like, oh, this is what I have to choose from.
Yeah, but that leads into something else. So we have all these different voices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that artists finding voices is one of the hardest things to do. I think that's what takes people a long time. So you have the technical aspect. Technical aspect is something that you just have been working on since you were born. Whether it's like using a camera or using a pencil, or using a pen, or using a brush, or using your voice, whatever the fuck it is. There's a pre-voice, and I think this is the other thing too. Again, everybody's an artist, everybody has it in them, but there's like the pre-voice. Like you see it before someone finally like clicks and they're able to stand up for themselves, or finally able to say to somebody like, whether it's in their art or just in life, they're just finally able to say, this is who the fuck I am, this is what I believe, and you need to listen to me. That transition from watching these artists, watching a lot of emerging artists, where do you see, like, what's your play with that? What are you seeing around that area?
Well, that's a big subject, but it does bring up I'll try to like take a different approach to it. That I think that people consider art, that gigantic word and everything encompasses, a little strangely. And I think that weirdly when we think about anything we consume, right? Like music, I can play music from somebody and I can say, this is, John Coltrane, this is Kendrick Lamar, or whatever. And you can say, yeah, I like it or I don't. But this person's more talented and they're better and they make better stuff. Like, I can give a shit, I don't want to listen to it. So there are things that we feel more confident as people to like have an opinion on. Food, I think, is the one we're all most confident, right? Like, you can give someone something like, this is the best chef in the world, eat this, whatever, and you're like, I don't eat that. And they try to make you eat it, like, I don't give a fuck if this is better than 5-star Michelin chef.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat that shitty thing, I don't like it. So, but art, we're always told, or somehow we're brought up to think like, oh, well, we don't have, our opinion isn't valid about it, right? And the truth is all subjects, anything we consume has its intellectual side, its grades, it's Snicker bars, right? It's everything. And it really gives a shit it's up to you what you care about that thing. We put so much, so I'm trying to wrap everything you said to have more context, I think, so that we have such a large sense about that term art when it encompasses so much. And I think we as a whole, as a person, as a society, we just need to actually give a shit about the art we care about and be cool to not care that it's not as intellectual or it's too intellectual or it's okay. I work with so many artists right now. I don't know if you know, like, I've been talking to these guys who like do stickers, right? All the sticker dudes. And the best thing I love about sticker dudes, the best thing I love about sticker artists is they're rollerbladers of today. Dude, nobody gives a shit what they do, right? It's considered the lowest, like
lowbrow as fuck.
They don't make any money. They go and make thousands of them. They pat each other on the back and they put up stickers all over the fucking place. And you know what? I think that's like. I'm so
that is art,
that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever.
But
it may not
that's the most beautiful thing. It's like no matter whatever the fuck you're doing, you're just gonna do it. Like, it doesn't matter whatever everybody else's think. Like, it could be the biggest fucking garbage ever. Nobody needs to care about it. But you know that you're gonna put that shit out. Like, you need to like go through the process and the pain of making it and getting it out there. And you're gonna birth that shit. And either it sucks or not, it's still yours and you're proud as fuck of it. I think that's when you can tell somebody's an artist too. It's like that resilience of like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. It's garbage. I know it's not the best. I know it's not Coltrane. But guess what? I did it. I fucking own it. And it's mine. And I'm an artist. It's that like arrogance of it mixed with like, oh fuck, like what am I doing? Like you never quite know, but then you're like, you know it. And then you're just going to put it out there. You need that attitude.
The game that people have to play right now is living in New York and paying rent, which is again why something that like you're doing with.
That's why con artists exist.
That's why con artists exist. Yeah, and so people can like go make their art. Like, and again, that's when I say true artists. It's like it's people that are like, I've got to like just make my shit. I got to make my sticker art. You look at like there's some amazing people that come through there and like. But then there's the other game where social media will just kind of go through, and even as a photographer, like we're constantly looking around, we're trying to find the next person, the next thing, the next movement, the next. I saw a stylist, and I followed it, I traced it back to find this photographer, and the photographer has this whole new setup, like up in Harlem, of images that I've never seen before. And it's kind of like, it feels like the Warriors meets like some like LGBT punk. And it's like, what the fuck is this? It's like a whole other world. But that, that kid at one point was just doing his thing and just trying to like come up, and like now it's like beginning to happen, but there's so many people that it doesn't happen for them. And I think that's a weird struggle, is that now you have two rents you have to pay. You have to pay your real rent, and then you gotta pay your social rent. And like someone like you're not allowed to show most of your work that you do. So you can't even...
I do have like a really bad love and hate relationship with social media. Like I do realize how this is how these people find me. This is how they get to me. But lately, I'll say like 99%, legit 99% of the shit I'm shooting, I don't even care to post. I am in such a state of boredom, like absolute boredom with everything everyone is doing, including myself. I'm not excluding myself of the equation. I do jobs so I can pay my rent and make a living, and New York's expensive, and also that's how I finance personal projects. This is not work I'm necessarily proud of, but I hate myself when I'm done doing it, because I feel like I'm now part of the problem and I'm not part of the conversation. And I think, unfortunately, like this social media and this, like the whole thing, like it might look like it's really cool from the outside, but people don't understand the struggles that go in the inside for you to make something happen. People don't see me running around fucking fetal position, crying in my bed at night, going like, oh my God, how am I gonna pay my rent next month? To everybody's like, wow, this bitch is rolling with fucking Beyonce. And that's all they think. They don't actually understand the X, Y, and Z's of the behind the scenes. Which is why I try to be as vocal as possible and as honest as possible of the struggles of it. People are always like, oh, too much information. But I'm like, I don't want to actually lead you guys on like a wrong thing. Like, this is not how my life is. My life is not glamorous at all. I am not actually running around. Well, these are fake Miu Mius, by the way. So they're from China. Probably some Chinese kid with broken legs made them. Anyways, or a lot of freebies where motherfuckers don't pay me and they're like, take a dress, girl. I'm like, great, I have a $7,000 gown. Where do I go with this? Nowhere. So I don't think, like, it's a really tricky, like, way to navigate, because I feel like there's no winning, especially if you're a girl. I feel like there's nothing I can say. If I'm giving people an insight of my creative process, then it's like, this bitch sharing too much information. If I, try to, like, be honest and real and, like, say things the way they are. Ooh, this girl is a fucking bitch.
Wait.
I mean,
why do you think it's about being a girl versus
because I don't think guys, well, there's that too, but I do think like guys can like brush that off way more easily, whereas like, ooh, this guy's a perfectionist, whatever, and this girl is like a fucking arrogant bitch. Like there's different things like that. I never see any of my guy friends, like I've never seen anybody refer to you as too much information. Like none of those things. People refer to you as angry. Mind you, to me it's always like a bitch. There's always very dark connotations behind being a bitch. There's no dark connotations, not too much about being angry. Oh, he's angry, it's a fair, we'll pass. You get happy tomorrow. This girl is a bitch. That's different.
But I think, again,
I mean, at this point I just own it. I'm like, yeah, I am a goddamn fucking bitch. Be a bitch, right?
I want to play with that because that's a big part of the imaging too. Like that's a part of branding is like
absolutely
as being a bitch. Like personally, I feel that like strong women are like badass, they're brave. Like I grew up with like strong women in a total different world, like spiritually strong, and my grandma was like in her way strong. There's like all these different ways to have this, but I think it's like just really like cool badass women. Like I could probably like what percentage of the friends that are here are like women?
Lots of badass women here.
It's like a good percentage, and so I don't like for me when I hear that I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about. Like, so, but it is a branding. It is a packaging. It's part of it.
It's all part of the image.
Yeah, and I want to take like someone like obviously like because I want to hear your perspective, but I also want to hear is like because you're like the soft, you know, I can say you're a soft, squishy guy, but because I feel that a lot of times what happens. Not that way. A lot of times, like the voices that we hear from men tend to be this like, women are bitches. It's just like this really shitty guy behavior, and I think that there's like this whole other volume of men that haven't been heard, as well as women. Because I think that what you do, I don't call you, you know, I wouldn't call you. I would say that you're a bitch, but
I think I'm one of the nicest people ever. I try to take care of my crew. I try to pay everybody. I hardly take an intern. You can ask everybody that works for me. I try to cover as much as I can. We just did a shoot this weekend.
Explain yourself.
No, I know I don't have to explain myself. I'm just saying that it's really frustrating because I feel like because of social media, people have too much access to my life now, where in my head, I'm giving them access to my creative process. Like, look, I'm watching this movie because I'm going to be doing a shoot in a few weeks that you don't know about it yet, but this is where I'm pulling it from. So like, I'm giving you a little in. I will kill to have this kind of access to the people I admire. Motherfucking Jodorowsky, where like Instagram story his life, I'll be like, bitch, yes, I'll do nothing but watch you all day. But you know, it's different when I think people these days, they approach me and that's never really how it comes up in conversation. Like it's never, and so far, I guess I'm starting to pull back now. I'm realizing that it's too saturated. Perhaps I need to pull it out. I need to pull it back.
Not to interrupt, because I don't think you need to pull back. I don't think you need to pull back. But what I think is really fucked up and is twisted in our society is because like there's dominant voices that are obviously heard. And so that when you have like strong women that just like say it as it is, like people are like, whoa, what the fuck is that? They get like really intimidated. And it's weird to see it happen because I catch myself doing it. Even in this, to set this thing up, like I'm not gonna get too much into the details, but we had a meeting over here and I brought in a person who's been helping me out and is a very strong person, and she just got right to the point and said some shit like, whoa, you're gonna hurt people with those words. Like, but it's so good. It's so good to have that.
But you need to be able to hurt people. Like, not hurt people, but I'm saying like, I want to be able to get a reaction out of them. Whatever reaction it is. Either they're repulsed by my work or they're like in love with my work. Like, unless you're getting some kind of reaction, I'm not saying I want to insult somebody. I'm not going to put a model in blackface. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is you need to be able to somehow, like, work these days have become so boring and flat and like its content is not art anymore. And it's so frustrating because that's not how it should be. Everybody now has access to a camera and everybody should be making art. Everyone's making fucking content and it's disposable as ever. And I'm so fed up and I'm so sick of it. And I am part of the fucking problem, mind you, because I'm doing content to pay my rent, but I'm not happy. And this is what I'm trying to like stick up and make a difference with it now. But I think this is how art should be. If your art is not advancing the conversation or starting a conversation, as a matter of fact, if you're not bringing a subject to life, if you're not getting people talking about something, then you might as well not do shit. The world is saturated with fucking images. Why the hell put more shit out there? Don't do it. Think about whatever you fucking do it. Do it because you want to do it, and nobody's gonna stop you from doing it. But take a minute to think about it. Really try and put something out there that is like, I don't know, that is not fucking content, for fuck's sake.
I've had a few conversations with people that I admire, luckily, in my life, and a lot of times they say one of the things that they know that what they're making is worthwhile or is part of that bigger contributing. I like to say investing in the culture as opposed to like withdrawing from the culture. When you're kind of like just mimicking like maybe what you said with Kendrick Lamar's video. He's just sort of maybe withdrawing from the culture.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm actually not an expert, but you know, instead of like investing back in, is the most common response I love to also advise artists on is to say that if you're scared to do it.
Do it.
You're actually a little scared when you're nervous. Like if you have to tell Beyonce to do something, you're like, I'm gonna get fired, I'm scared, or oh, should I, like, but I want to do it. Like that's
you know, in the right path. Yeah.
You're on the right direction.
I think Bowie
So
has like a quote like that. Yeah.
That was always, someone told me that, and I thought about that a lot. And I thought that that's something that we don't, as creative people, listen to that voice inside us when like.
And you have to.
I think we should be fearless too, but the thing
Yeah.
is we're all fucking human. And we all.
Oh yeah, we're all terrified. We're all insecure as fuck. I mean, I have the worst cycle pattern. But I feel like, actually I want to ask you guys, because both as artists, perhaps you have an answer for me. I go through this cycle literally every job I do, every work I do, even the shit I put my heart the most into it, my everything. By the time I'm done, like shooting, the minute I put my camera down and I go sleep and the next day I wake up, I hate it. I hate it. I can't even look at it anymore. I cannot even edit. Like it's getting to a point where all my crew is like, what is wrong with you? Like this is your best shit. And this is also, I don't even release it after. I'm like, I hate it so much. And it's a creative process.
Yeah, that only happens to be on certain projects. I've had.
But you see, I'm always very curious about that. So you don't feel that way with your stuff.
That's like a mental thing. So
Could be, maybe I'm crazy.
No, it's not.
I guess every great artist is crazy, so I should take it as a compliment. I don't
It's
know.
not crazy. All that it is that there's projects that we do that are bullshit. And it's because we get thrust into situations where people ask us to do that thing that you do. And it's that thing that we did 5 years ago that we've evolved beyond.
Yeah.
Or we're just not interested in anymore. The project, the subject, or whatever is not us anymore. But the game is, and this is where I think things are beginning to shift, because I'm finding myself more and more, and I think you have to kind of make yourself into this situation. It's finding ways to like go back and do the stuff that you really want to do, because playing with the fear thing we just spoke about a second ago is that we got to face our fears, right? And when you face a fear, it's like, again, everybody has these glass prisons around. So somebody came up to you when you were a kid and they said something to you, whether it's a teacher, a parent, another artist, whatever the fuck it was, but they created these something where you're like, I can't cross over that, I can't do that anymore because someone told you no. And then when you finally tell somebody, you stand up for yourself, or you just say like, I've got an idea, we're gonna fucking do this shit, and you go for it. And it's very hard because you get that gut instinct of like, can I do this? Can I actually say this out loud? Are they gonna judge me? Or like if I draw it, are they gonna judge me if I show it to someone? But you finally do it, and you cross that barrier. So what happens is when you get projects, and this is why like a lot of the projects are bullshit, is because people will pull up a mood board and say like, here's some super safe stuff, and you've overcome those fears years ago. So there's no joy in it because you're not scared anymore. You're not riding by the seat of your pants. And I think that that's like a critical aspect of art, is that if you're not actually scared, because like there's quite a few friends that are models in the room, and it's like, you go back to the beginning days when you look at like a jaded model that's been doing it for a while, and they just don't give a shit anymore. Like they're just like, I'm just here, they're just like, fuck it, I've done every e-com job, I'm done. But at those early stages, it's the most exciting people to work with because it's constant fear. It's like they walk into a room.
Everything is new.
Everything's new. You're walking into a room with strangers, and then as an artist, it's like you're just trying to create a safe space where they can explore their own psychic energies manifested through their physical reality. But I think that that's what it comes down to, and I think that's, again, where it's creating sacred spaces for artists and really elevating what art can and should be, and going back into what true art is, because our culture is fucked right now in terms of real art.
Is it?
In terms of real art.
Because I feel like, I tried to think, well, you just mentioned Andy Warhol. I can never pronounce his name in English properly. But like, I can only imagine being an artist back in the day. I would have hated his guts. He was probably one of those assholes like, ooh, anybody's gonna be famous, 15 motherfucking minutes. Like he was hanging out with the it girls, and like, he sounded like a dick all around. Now we're all like, we're able to fast forward and we've seen, where he has done it, and we're like, oh, we understand. I often joke to people, like, if Andy Warhol was alive, he probably would be friends with like Kim Kardashian and people like that. And so sometimes, yes, oh my God, yes, yeah. And I mean, people I admire the most fucking hated the guy, but you still understand his value to the culture. So I think like, it's natural to all of us to always hate the culture we currently live in. Like, it's hard to step back right now and be like, who are the relevant key players? Who is actually making shit that in 20 years we're gonna be quoting and being like, dude was ahead of his time. I mean, I'm sure Kanye is gonna come around. We'll talk about that in 10 years. But in 20, maybe? We'll see it. 5, guys. Come on. Taylor is already ruining her life. I'm kidding. But no, for real. Like, I think it's really hard. I think there's never been a more exciting time to make art than now. I think we always want to feel like, oh, but like back in the day, you could make something original that no one has ever done it because that. But no, look at now. We have access to so much shit. We are in a very exciting time. We just can't quite, there's just too much. It's almost overwhelming how much there is to be done. I feel like that's how I feel about it. I don't know. You guys could feel it different?
I mean, I think there's always a struggle. I make a dumb joke that, like, when fire was invented, all the old people were like, look at all the sitting on the fire, staring at the fire, it's ruining, or, there's always the problems that arise and the solutions that come from it. It's always our, but I actually agree with you 100%. I think it's, right now is definitely the most exciting time to be a creative person.
Yeah.
And
there's so many possibilities.
Actually, one thing that I think is, I think the world has changed in one really unique way. Go back before the internet. The only people who would access, like what they say about the power of the voice of the people is given to those with the printing press, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like you can only paint if you had access to paints and paintbrushes. You only had the thing if you had access to the thing. But now pretty much,
everybody has access to something.
Pretty much have access to the same technology, and it really, for the first time, has democratized the art making tool or the sharing tool in everybody's pocket, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's the big problem we're dealing with right now, which is there's a lot
saturation.
There's
exactly.
So much garbage.
Which it was bound to happen when you have this much fucking information.
There's beauty in that too.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, there's some kid who's 13 in Ohio right now who would have never had the opportunity for anyone to see how fucking incredible this kid is. And he might be blowing up somewhere, and so I think that makes it the most exciting time. I mean, I think
we're about to see some unreal art, like in another maybe 5 to 10 years. I think we're gonna see some of the best art that's gonna blow all of our minds. We're not even expecting it because we are so old school still.
I'm waiting for you to make it.
I mean, I'm not even kidding. I remember, you guys are saying, you're joking. I'm come from a third world country. I remember, I have memories where they installed a goddamn phone line in my house, and our family of 4 got together. We're just a phone. We never had a phone line. I was old enough, I can't remember, because Brazil was so behind still. I remember we're so excited the dude left. We couldn't even make phone calls to anybody because none of our friends had access to a phone yet. So we literally just sat there staring at the machine like, wow, my dad had to go put coins on the street phone just so he could call it. We all would pick up my phone, my mom, all of us wanted to answer. So this wasn't that long ago. I have memories. I must have been maybe 7 or 6. I'm 28 now. So technology has moved so fast ever since. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket that actually takes photos now. I mean, had I had this kind of access when I was a child, I would have made so many of my little imagination things a reality. I just couldn't because I was waiting for somebody who had money enough that could come with a big camera that could make these things come true. Now you don't need that anymore. You know what I mean? So the next 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid's gonna come out and we're gonna be like, wow, motherfucker, great. This is awesome. We weren't expecting this. Because they just have so much on their hands and it's beautiful. Yes, it's scary because there's so much to it. But dude, shit's about to get real soon.
Do we need to live in cities anymore? Do we need these cities anymore?
Don't you have this theory that we're not going to live in cities anymore? What was your utopian?
I was talking, I get really dark and depressed. I'm one of those people who romanticize dying at 27, and I turned 28 and I didn't die, and I was so depressed because I didn't die. I was like, oh, this is so sad. I can't even kill myself. I don't have enough work to leave behind as a legacy. Anyways, don't be concerned. I'm 28. I won't kill myself. It's too depressing even. But I was talking to this friend and I was like, the most exciting thing to me, everything else looks like shit right now in the world. Like the fucking world seems to be falling apart. But technology seems like a genuinely thing that I'm excited about it. I think 10 years from now, everything we know as is going to be so different. We are not even ready for it. We don't know what's to come, and that's exciting. Like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I want to be a fucking old lady just to see how dating apps are going to be going. Like, there's so much shit that's about to happen. Art-wise, that's going to change everything. Everything. How we see art, how we go to museums. Like I've been talking to people about museums. Museums seems like such an outdated institution for so many reasons. Mind you, I love fucking museums. I adore every museum I can. But there's something about it that still feels quite elitist. Nothing will ever...
They're not totally available for everyone.
No, they're not available. You still need to have enough money to travel to a place to go see the fucking Mona Lisa in person. It's not quite the same. But the first time I saw Francis Bacon, I remember I cried and I sat there and I looked at it for like 20 minutes and everybody's like, what is wrong with this bitch? And I was like, it's Francis Bacon, it's beautiful. It's not like in the paper. And I want to touch it and they're like, get off of there. And but like there's so many ways we're going to be seeing art and it's going to change and how people are going to make it and like just consume art, and we don't even fucking know. We cannot even imagine. Our brains are like too even small to picture that.